have like sadness in it, but my first semester was a very real experience, and I just want to give y'all some tips on how maybe like you can prevent it and help push your student through hard times. Okay, so one morning I woke up for volleyball, you know, like I do, 5:45, but this time I went to like get up in bed and I physically could not sit up. I was freaking out, so I called my trainer. I said, I don't know what's going on, but I can't sit up. I have this major pain in the left side of my stomach. She goes, okay, you need to call the health center right away and make an appointment to go get checked out. So we do have a licensed physician on campus at the health center. It's next door in the student services building on the 4th floor. And so I went up there and I left a urine sample because at the time they thought I had like kidney stones, gallstones, something along those lines. The test came back, it was negative. So the physician then recommended me to an off-campus site in order to like draw blood. Oh wait, no, not draw blood, excuse me. Get a CT scan and things like that. So during all this and like making appointments and stuff, I was missing practice and class time. My first semester I was majoring in biomedical engineering. The classes I had in the morning were calculus and computer science. Those are fairly difficult classes, especially just going into them not really having a good, strong foundation. And so missing valuable class time, I was falling behind very quickly. And in those classes, once you're behind, it's so easy to stay behind. And so that was the first time my grades ever really started to slip. So I got my CT scan, everything came back negative. And then the doctor started to talk about going to see specialists, like a gastroenterologist, and then he was like, oh, maybe like something like cancer. I was like, time out, hold on, my mom's a nurse, let me call her, get her opinion. So I called my mom, and she's like, did they draw blood? And I was like, no. And so she's like, oh, your dad and I are gonna come up, and we're gonna take you back to that doctor, and they're gonna draw blood. He did. Turns out I just had mono. Has anyone ever had mono before? Okay, yeah, y'all know, it sucks. But for those of y'all that don't know, mono can like last anywhere from 2 weeks to like 5 months. I had it for a month and a half, so like a good chunk of my first semester, like midterms to like almost the end of school. And I can't explain to you how tired you feel, like constant fatigue. Like I'd be standing in line to get food and be like, oh man, I'm exhausted, and I would fall asleep standing up. I kid you not. And I would go to class, come back and sleep, go to class, come back and sleep, and it was just a big repeating cycle. Also, like my mouth turned a weird white color, and my lymph nodes got super inflamed, and I looked like I was something out of like a horror movie, I promise. So anyway, I told my coach that I had mono, and she goes, okay, well, I want you to stay away from the team. I was like, sounds doable, don't want to get anyone else sick. So that was also the first time I like isolated myself, which was a terrible mistake because I took it upon myself, well, if I don't want to get my teammates sick, I don't want to get anyone else sick. And so that was like the first time I really ever felt alone. And so I started to get a little depressed. So about a week into having mono, I get a text from my sister. She said, hey, I just want to let you know, one of your high school friends committed suicide. And so that was another hit. And then about a week later, I got a call from one of my friends who goes to Texas State. He said, hey, I just want to let you know that hubby got killed in a hit and run. So life for me, it was happening very quickly and in a short amount of time. Sorry. And so I started to go in this depression spiral, if you will. I just started failing most of my classes, and I did not know how to deal with my emotions and things like that. So I became very self-removed from what I was doing, and if you know me very well, that's not like me at all. And when my friends took notice, he said, hey, I think you need to go to the counseling center. I flat out told him no, and he's like, why not? There's a huge stigma attached to going to seek help. I was terrified of what other people were going to think of me. Like I already heard some of the nasty things that people said, like, oh my gosh, she's 19 years old and still doesn't have her emotions in check. She just needs to pack up and go home. Or like, oh, she's gonna go see a counselor. She must be mentally insane. So I was petrified of that idea. But luckily, with the push of my friends and myself, I kind of came to my senses, and I ended up going to the counseling center. The counseling center here is great. It's probably the best resource I've utilized here since being on campus. It is next door and on the 4th floor, just like the health center. So a little bit about what they do. You call this counseling center and set up like an intake session. I want to call them with a middleman psychologist. You both sit down, you talk about what's going on in your life, the events that happen, if you're stressed and your emotions, and then at the end of that 30 minutes, you both then decide what works best for you, whether it be psychiatric care, group therapy, stress management, or individual counseling. So with me, I was diagnosed with clinical and situational depression, so we decided that individual counseling sessions would work for me. I can tell you now, I am light years better from where I was my very first semester. These counselors here are great. They're all licensed and they have some sort of specialization. So my therapist was specialized in depression patients, which was awesome. And I promise you I would not have this job. This job is the best job in the world. I'm not biased or anything, but it definitely opened doors for me as well. I also changed my major. So I went from biomedical engineering to psychology. I realized that, I don't want anyone to go through what I went through feeling alone. So I feel like if I can help one person and help them get back on track, then I've done my job as an individual. So in order to change your major, you go to the school that you're already in, to your academic advisor, and you said, hey, I would like to change my major to such and such. So I went to the engineering department, and then I changed my major, and they give you a form, and then you sign it, and then you bring it to the form of your new school. So mine was brain and behavioral science, so I brought it to those academic advisors, and then they changed my major, which was fairly easy. Also, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, at the end of my first semester, my GPA was a 1.8. Yeah, it was really bad. But I was like, this is not a good representation of who I am here at UTD, because I worked really hard to get into this school. So I went and talked to my academic advisor, and she said, all right, so I'm gonna give you, you're gonna go to the bottom floor of the library and go to the non-academic withdrawal department. So I went there, I talked to Miss Kathy Von Noy, she's a lovely lady, she's very understanding. I told her what I experienced my freshman year, and then she said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna get all your doctor's notes and like tests they ran on you, your friends' obituaries, and like a little paragraph explaining why you could not perform that semester. And then you get all of that, and we're gonna turn it into the dean, and they're gonna decide whether or not you're eligible for non-academic withdrawal. And what that is they remove you from all your classes. So it's like that semester never even happened. So luckily I did get approved. My GPA was wiped away and things like that. And then so next semester I was able to bounce back with a GPA of a 3.75. So that is definitely something, if your student experiences a traumatic event or is extremely ill, that is a resource for them as well. But kind of like the message I want to give to you as family members is to encourage your students, it's okay to ask for help. I'm gonna be honest with you again. My parents asked me after all of this, are you okay? And I lied and said I was fine, which was probably the biggest mistake I've ever made. It's just because as students, we may not come to you first because we're trying to prove that we can like adult on our own and things like that. So if you feel like your student isn't answering your text messages or picking up your calls as frequently as they used to, I would just encourage you to send them a text or leave a voicemail saying, hey, I hope you're doing all right. I just want to let you know it's okay to ask for help, whether it be a counselor or a friend, because I know those people here at UTD did me a world of good. Thank you. Next up.